All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome as we are joining you live from Memorial Stadium as the Olympic Trojans, the Bremerton Knights, clash in a late season matchup. And both teams currently looking on the outside, looking in at a playoff spot. Neither team currently looks like they're going to have much of a shot to make the playoffs. So tonight's really going to be about pride for both these squads. And we join you live from Memorial Stadium on what is a wet and rainy Saturday night, a rare Saturday night game during the regular season. Kevin Chambers here, joined out the side of the field. We're on the home side under the covered awnings at Memorial Stadium. Thank goodness, as the rain continues to pour. And Paul, this is, two teams that really are looking at, playing for pride, not playing for a playoff spot, but we should see a really good matchup of two teams with really similar records in tonight's ball game.
Well, you have to really appreciate the courage and the dedication of both teams, the players, to come out on a night tonight like this, on a Saturday night. It's pouring down rain. You hear nothing in the news all week about how this nasty storm is blowing in, Kevin. And you start to see the kids out there, they're jumping around, they're enjoying the weather, they're ready to hit somebody and get after it.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great matchup, and there's a lot of really good storylines to pay attention into what's going on into this game. We'll delve into the storylines as we work through tonight's game. We want to go over the scores from the games from last night and then the one game from Thursday night, just to give you an idea of what else has gone on involving some of your local Kitsap County teams. One game was played on Thursday night, saw Bainbridge travel to Eastside Catholic in a slugfest and pull out a 2-point win. Bainbridge got a late touchdown from Corey Touchette as they hold on to beat Eastside Catholic 45-43. The rest of these are scores from last night, including Chimacum, another just score fest against Cedar Park Christian. Chimacum wins at home. Devin Mannix rushed for 63 yards on 12 carries, but had 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys pick up the win. Probably the marquee game from last night's action saw Kingston going to North Mason. Lou Hecker, a monster day for the Bucs. He had 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and more importantly, the Buccaneers clinched their first ever playoff berth. Not bad for a team that didn't exist 4 years ago. And 3 years ago, they finished the entire season with a win. 3 years later, they're in the playoffs. Not bad for the Buccaneers. Calhaia went to Port Angeles. Port Angeles beat them and beat them rather handily. A score of 56-7. Kevin Shipman had the only score for the Eagles. That was a late fourth quarter touchdown. Cody Sullivan, 2 touchdowns for Port Angeles. Mount Tahoma gets handled by Central Kitsap. Tahoma had a 14-0 lead. I think Central Kitsap comes back to get a 23-21. Devin Dozier rushed for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. In Squim, the Squim beat North Kitsap Vikings. They doubled them up 42-21. Squim 35 points in the first half to set the pace. Alex Nettleson continues to rush the ball well for the Vikings. He had 2 touchdowns for North Kitsap in the loss.
Will receive the kickoff to begin our game this evening.
Bremerton wins the toss, by the way. They will receive Bremerton in the white jerseys, gold helmet, blue letters. Olympic in the blue jerseys, white letters, silver helmets. A couple other games from last night include Port Townsend going to Ordine. Ordine all over Port Townsend, 48-14. Forward Port Townsend 27-0 in the second half to get the win. And South Kitsap continues to look impressive. The Wolves defeated Stadium 38-14. The Wolves got 198 yards rushing, a touchdown of Dominic Body. Tanner Rumble 159 yards and also threw for a score. We'll pause now for the singing of our performance of our national anthem. So the national anthem performed by the Olympic Marching Band, and we're now ready to get some football underway. And Paul, you know, it's really going to be a tale of two different stories of offense through both these squads. We'll start out with the Bremerton Knights. The Knights have done a solid job of running the ball all season long, and that's why they've got the leading rusher in the league, Kyle Kennedy. Check out his stats: 168 attempts, 1,270 yards on the season, 7.6 yards a carry, and 14 scores for the Knights. And really, it's what the Knights do, is they try to pound the ball down your throat and get some offense moving on the ground.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you've got an offense that's got a running back that produces at that level, it really allows you to sit back and put the defense on their heels. You can buckle up, hit somebody in the face, and go forward. It's a beautiful thing when you've got a running back like that.
And the Knights are going to start out with the ball as they receive. We'll set up what is a little more passing of an offense than Olympic as we work towards their first possession. But now everyone is back, and Sabian Perigo is the guy to watch them, the kickoff return team for the Knights.
Managed to go ahead with it, but it was a very good call.
And Shadle is a guy who we're going to mention a lot on the defensive side of the ball. He's not only the leading tackler for the Knights, he's a leading tackler in the league. So I'm sure he didn't expect to get the ball in his hands on that play. So Bremerton starts first and 10, ball on the 45-yard line. Wide receivers one to each side. I formation. At the 29-yard line, bringing it across, outside past the 40.
Over the top, waited for the ball, and it just floated on the quarterback.
And I think Bremerton tried to catch Olympic off a little bit and thought, well, they're going to be expecting a steady dose of Kennedy, so let's put it up.
43-yard line.
So the ball will be at the 43-yard line now for Olympic as they force an early Bremerton turnover. 11:42 to go, no score. First and 10 for Olympic. Back to pass. Throw it down the side. And 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown!
Looks like somebody
That was
play out of the other coach's book on that one, huh?
That was James Jones, I believe, down the far side direction. That was number 88. Otis Pujon. Sorry, Pujon Otis, excuse me. Straight, just post pattern down the sideline. A nice pass, a nice job to put the ball up that time by the quarterback for Olympic. And really, Willie Cadera showed some great touch.
Absolutely, a beautiful little fade pass, good touch on it. Well, the receiver caught it right in stride, didn't have to slow up, hardly even had to look back.
And they're going to go for two. Inside handoff, and they'll get it inside for the two-point conversion. And I believe that may have been Sean Brown, the running back, although I couldn't get his jersey number among the whole mass of blue jerseys down there. And I'll ask you a question, Paul, and this isn't something I'm aware of. If you're Olympic, are you going for the two-point conversion here early on to set the tone, or maybe because you've got some concerns about kicking in the rain?
Boy, I'll tell you, I could understand if he's going to go for the 2 points because of his concerns about the rain. But you're playing an interdivision, inter-city team right now. They're your arch rivals. If I'm the coach, I'd like to put it to him right now.
Well, and now the pressure is going to be on that Bremerton offense to avenge the earlier turnover and get some points up on the board. The one thing you don't want to do if you're a running team is fall behind by a bunch of points, because running the ball eats up a lot of time off the clock. And Olympic, on the other hand, the sign of a good team, and we'll see if Olympic is good at this, is to be able to keep the foot down on the pedal and continue to press your other team.
You can see an adjustment already by the Bremerton coaching staff in preparation for another possible squib kick, or maybe just
33-yard line, bringing it across. And so they're going to start with the ball at the 40-yard line. not as good a field position as they had on their last possession. And we'll see if now they bust out the steady dose of Kyle Kennedy. Kennedy, the leading rusher in the league for the Knights. About a 5-yard.
Number 59, Fuller Harrison. He put a shoulder into him, and that took him down, but he took it.
And that's something you get out of Kennedy that, I don't know if you find as much at this age, a high school player. He is a senior, but the ability to just look for the contact and put a shoulder down. So here we go, 2nd down, 5 yards to go. Man in motion. Again, they'll fake it off and get completely swarmed. And
there seemed to be a good sense of anticipation by the defense. You saw the shift on the left side. They seemed to have a good idea of what was coming.
So that'll put Bremerton in a little bit of a hole. Probably what a normal team would consider a passing down, but when you got a back like Kennedy, I guess we'll see what happens. They only put one wide receiver off to the left. Very tight formation on the offensive line, back in motion. Yard line.
Tell you, I can understand the call though when you've got a running back that's averages over 7 yards a carry, and it's 3rd and 6. You've got to have that sense of pride and that idea that if you hand him the ball, he's going to get you that first down.
Sabian Perigo, a great story. He started last season as the quarterback for the Knights. They've moved into wide receiver. He's had a lot of great success. And a great story about Sabian Perico in the Sun on October 21st. A story about him and his younger sister, Shantice. Now, she plays soccer. He plays football. A great story in the Sun. Go check it out. It was posted by Jeff Graham on the 21st on the Kitsap Sun website.
Kitsap's version of the Tuiasa Sopo family, right?
Exactly. And again, there's other great stories to talk about with Olympic. We didn't get a chance to. They had one play on offense. Bremerton's going to go for it now on 4th and 4. Ball at the 30. Number 24. That was Mike Lawrence. We'll see where they spotted the ball.
It's all going to be about the spot on this one, Kevin.
Well, it looks like they're trying to play off the fact that they're expecting Olympic to key on Kennedy. So they're going to give the ball to anybody but Kennedy just to see if they can get Olympic off the balance. And they're going to give him the first down out of it. The ball will be spotted on the 50-yard line, so Bremerton will get their first down of the night here. 9:35 to go here, first quarter of play. 8-0 lead for Olympic. Bremerton throw a pick on their first possession, their first play. And Olympic quickly scored. Here's a toss play to the left side to Kennedy. Kennedy looking for some blockers. Kennedy knocking more people down with him. Gets all the way out to the 43-yard line. About 7 yards, and a nice play on the sweep.
You can tell that Olympics up in the box, and they're really looking to just put a shoulder into somebody, push him back, and get a tackle for a loss.
And the key thing, and I always think about this with the rain, is just going to be how good of a footing your blockers can get in front of you. The offensive line, no matter how big they are, if they can't plant and get a little bit of leverage, it's going to be a lot harder for him to pick up those yards.
Well, this artificial turf makes a big difference in playing in weather like this. As you can tell, he still getting plenty of good traction. He was able to pick his feet up and still get a burst.
And they talk about setting up plays. That time they faked the inside handoff to Lawrence again, like they'd ran, twice already today. And then they handed it off to Kennedy. Kennedy picks up, it looks to be about 5 yards on the play. It'll be out to the 39-yard line. Bremerton doing a much better job on this second drive of relying on the strength of their running game. There's a handoff. Bull and bodies over down near the 30-yard line. That'll be right about a 9-yard gain, and Kennedy just taking it to that defensive line.
Z-Guy, a good form tackle, finally took the guy down, but you know what? You're going to have to find a way, defense, to stop him. You're giving up 6, 7, 8, 9 yards of carry. That's not going to get the job done tonight.
And the first down carry for 9 yards. It makes a very manageable second down play for Bremerton. They may try to pass it here just to see if they can get something going. Guy to get the ball on the ground because he's doing a nice job of complementing the style of Kennedy.
You had to appreciate Coach Nate Gillum is doing a good job of misdirecting his plays and keeping the defense back on their heels, Kevin.
Yeah, but a holding penalty is going to bring this play back, and we need to mention we are on the Olympic side of the field, so you can really hear from the crowd. I'm sure our mics pick it up pretty well. This crowd is very supportive and support for their Trojans in this game tonight.
Well, it's a good thing for Olympic right now that there was a holding penalty on that play.
And it's going to back him up to what looks to be about the 39-yard line, which will put him back at the original 1st and 10 from earlier. It's going to be 2nd down, 10 yards to go, ball at 39. And now we'll see if they continue to feed the ball to Kennedy. 8 minutes even to go here, first quarter. Bootleg out to the left side, and absolutely nothing is Richard Thessalonian, and if I mispronounce his name, I apologize, but he wasn't fooled by the play action at all.
That was a beautiful play by the defense, not fooled at all by the naked bootleg. Quarterback was going to attempt to roll out, put some distance between himself and the defense, and probably hit the receiver going down the seam.
And some sacks you can blame on a quarterback. You can't blame that one on Caden Tomlinson. By the time he was able to get out of the play action, he didn't have time to introduce himself before he had Thessalonian in his face. So now it's going to be 3rd down and Kennedy touchdown, call the flag on the play. And that time I think the Bremerton offensive line just let the Wolves come in, so to speak.
Well, that was a beautifully called, well-timed screen pass. Right in the middle, you hit your big guy, you hit your fastest guy, you hit your workhorse, and that's exactly what happens on those screen plays, Kevin. The offensive linemen stand up, they hit you just enough to make you think you're attempting to block them. Your defensive line comes through, and by that time it's too late.
And we'll see what this flag is about, although it looks like they're all going to be moving all the way down the field there. So we'll see what the discussion is going to be about. The clock is stopped with 7:04 to here go first quarter of play. We thank you for checking out the game tonight here at kitsapsun.com. The refs are having a conversation. I want to remind you that this game is brought to you by Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles, home of the free oil change on all new vehicle purchases. Peninsula Suzuki and Triumph Motorcycles, proud sponsors of live high school football at kitsapsun.com.
Now they're going to argue that, and I think that Bremerton has a valid point in doing so. Now, a screenplay like that, as a call with an illegal man downfield, means somebody released too soon. A complete judgment call is part of the refs. And to lose a touchdown on a judgment call is a tough thing to stomach.
Yeah, especially for Bremerton, that really found himself at 3rd down and 20 yards to go, and really not in a good situation to get a play like that put together, led in a touchdown, and instead it's all for naught. 2nd time now on this drive we've seen a major flag.
Well, and I'll tell you, Olympic seems to have dodged another big bullet, but I don't know how long they can keep doing that. Luck only lasts so long in football.
And the Bremerton Knights will take a football, so 7:04 here to go, first quarter of play. It's an 8-0 lead for the Olympic Trojans over the Bremerton Knights, and again, 7:04 to go here, first quarter of play. So, Paul, really quick, let's kind of sum up what we see here in the first quarter of play. We really haven't been able to gauge the Olympic offense at all. They got one play. They did a nice post pattern down the sidelines and led to a quick score for Olympic. We have gotten a really steady dose of the Bremerton offense, which has seen a lot of misdirection and a lot of, I think, trying to pull the emphasis off of Kennedy using, they've tried to use the passing game a little bit and the handoff to Lawrence.
Listen, they've tried to pass twice. Both times it's been disastrous, once in a major sack and the other time in an interception. They're going to go with their bread and butter. It's the run. It's pouring down rain. It's not a good day to be out there throwing the ball, unless, of course, you're Olympic, apparently. So if I'm Bremerton, I keep doing what I'm doing because they're proving that it's working. Yes, it's early in the game, but they've got the defense back on its heels. Bremerton's running backs are really putting it to them.
And for the Olympic defense, it didn't really dodge a bullet, but at some point they're going to have an answer for Kyle Kennedy.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So here we go, 3rd down and 20. On the gain or so. Sorry, it was 3rd and 25, so they gained about 14 yards on the play, excuse me. They'll get it all the way down near the 40-yard line. It's going to bring up a 4th down.
Once again, pouring down rain. 4th down. This is 4-down territory if you're Bremerton, I think. Now, I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time.
No, I think they're going to go for it on 4th down. I don't think either team is really comfortable kicking the ball in this situation. We'll correct that early. It looks like they marked him as stepping out of bounds, I guess, at the 43-yard line. So it was a gain of 11, 4th down, and they're going to save first. Kennedy's going to run left side. And the Trojans will take over the 30-yard line, and I guess if you're Bremerton, it's not really a bad turnaround down, so to speak, because you're still only given, Olympic 1st and 10, pretty good into their own territory at the 30-yard line. Absolutely nowhere. Sean Brown had no room to go anywhere on that play. He loses.
Great penetration by the left side. I think he's playing defensive tackle. And I'll tell you what, that kid, he squeaked right through there, almost like nobody touched him. Read the play perfect, good form tackle, and brought down the back in the backfield.
And they're going to make it about a 5-yard loss on the play. 2nd down, 15. Spread offense going out here for Olympic. 2 wide receivers east side. And they're doing just over the outstretched hands of Sam Gazecki. Pearson, his job of coverage for the Knights that time. He was able to kind of sit back in that zone a little bit and just kind of, try to play outfielder, so to speak.
Now, he learned. He learned. He proved that he could be taught after he got burned on the first play of the game for Olympic.
Yep, and so Gazecki unable to corral that pass. It brings up 3rd down and 15, an obvious passing situation. And we're going to talk about the offensive lineman for Olympic. Was back there, nearly had the ball in his hands and couldn't corral it in. Again, the ball's going to be a little bit wet, and that wasn't a lob pass at all.
Perigo played that perfectly, but the truth of the matter is the pass wasn't on the mark. And that you can really look at and attribute that to a wet ball, a wet field, and he was under a little bit of pressure.
And they're going to go for it on 4th down and 15. Nope. And he'll fall at the 40-yard line, and that was number 27, Matt Knoll.
A word to the wise, when being a sky gazer, which is what we used to call it. That's so you're looking up, you're waiting for the ball, you're not paying attention to those other 11 guys wearing the other jerseys heading straight towards you at full speed. You don't fumble.
Yeah, and
you don't fumble. That's a recipe for getting knocked off your feet.
Yeah, but it's a challenging situation to try to be catching these balls, especially they're really focused on the script kicks tonight, I believe, because of the weather. And I don't envy the guys trying to fill those kicks. So here we go. Here he got some blocks. On the sidelines. Cut into the end zone. Touchdown. Bremerton. On 1st and 10. Conversion they choose to and tie the game. And
you want to talk about a wall of blockers? There was nobody going to get to him. One guy had one shot at him, and yeah, it just wasn't quite there. Not happening yet for Olympic. Got to find an answer for that run.
And you could tell when it developed too. You saw how the blocking scheme went and how Olympic was slow to rotate over to their left. And they're going to go for the kick, so they're going to try to make this an 8-7 ball game. Spot is down, kicks up, and number 22, Sabian Perigo.
Well, apparently
he seems to be very busy tonight. He's gonna spot you at receiver. He's gonna be on the kick and punt return teams, and he's gonna be in there to kick the extra points as well. So with 5:14 to go here, first half of play, Bremerton is pulled within a 8-7 ball game.
You're going to have to see how Olympic responds to this. Listen, they come right down, they score on the first play, then they have 4 plays that basically go for naught. Bremerton has been running the ball and shoving it down their throat the entire first quarter now.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see how that defensive line can try to get some some adjustments as we see go throughout the game and how they're going to address Kennedy. A reminder that this game is brought to you by Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles. Always a great selection and great service. Stop by today.
Back to receive the kickoff for the Trojans at number 30, Sean Brown, at number 88, Steve Otis. The empty kick for the Knights.
We also want to apologize to you, but it was that or Meg Spencer, our fabulous camera guy, set up in the rain on the other side. And now he is wearing his Jake Locker jersey tonight, but I don't think he wants to endure the elements with the camera and the laptop tonight. So we apologize for some of the blocks in our...
Well, I'm glad you made it clear that that was a Jake Locker jersey, because I half thought it was a North Kitsap jersey.
No, he's got the Husky gear on tonight, although that it looks good. It looks good. We'll have to see how the Huskies do later today. Bremerton getting ready to kick it off. And look who's kicking it off. We've mentioned his name a few times tonight. It's Sabian Periga. They're going to kick off from the 40. And there's a kick. That's a good point. I always worry about when you're trying to corral loose ball like that and you got the defense coming down on you. So Olympic's going to take over the ball now with the 1st and 10 at their own 18-yard line. 5:07 to go in an 8-7 ball game. Ball behind the blockers.
3 or 4 Bremerton players had their hands on him. They were holding on to him, and he did not stop his feet from moving. And if you're a young kid watching this broadcast and you're playing little league or junior high football, that's how you want to run.
And Sean Brown be like,
watch the film, and he's going to say to himself he should have been a slightly more patient runner. He could have waited for the blocks to develop, but instead he ran through there and ended up just a tad bit short of the first down.
Here we go out of the shotgun formation. Over his head, Michael Lawrence in there on the defense, and it's going to bring up a 4th down and 2.
Well, Cadero was trying to hit his man quick out into the flat. That's just a little flat out flat route. 9 times out of 10, if it's not for, once again, it's a weather type play. You're not going to try to put the ball down the field too much. You're going to get lucky once in a while like you did the first play of the game. But the last couple times they've tried to go deep, you've seen the result. It's hard to get bigger on the ball.
So 4th down and 2. They're going to go for it. And again, you're setting Bremerton up for really good field possession with that running game if they don't pick up this 1st down. Pass side, Brown. Brown gets a big goal, and there goes Brown. Great run down the sidelines, and that's really a situation where Bremerton, probably had a range of options to choose from on defense on a team that runs a spread offense like that.
Well, when Sean Hall, number 56 on the right side, lost his game. Is a weather-related malfunction. Okay, so he dropped back to pass. You got to remember in this, you got to be more patient if you're the quarterback. It's going to take longer for the play to develop because your receivers are not going to have their feet under them.
So here we go. 2nd down, 10 yards to go. Back to passing. Brown gets down to about what looks like the 16 or 17 yard line. Guess it'll be the 17-yard line. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and about 4.5 or 5 yards to go.
4 yards on the play.
They're going to mark it. They're going to say it's about a 4 yard at the 18. 3rd down and 6 now. And pressure that time, able to pick up bubble screen. Second.
Bremerton down. They had kind of a mid-air collision between the two.
Looks like one of those guys is Kyle Kennedy, who was down. And he's able to get off the field under his own power, and he'll wander off to the sideline. Another player down, and we can't see his jersey. And you hate to see guys playing high school ball that go down and don't get up right away. You always worry about the kids, that are doing this. And as soon as we can get a number for you, we'll let you know. Now, I do want to talk just a little bit about the Olympic offensive line. Once you get to that in a second, that's David Pierce, who's able to get up finally and walk off to the sideline under his own steam. And the challenge is, again, you've got Pierce and you've got Kennedy, two of the starters for this Bremerton sidelines. I wonder if you're Olympic, if you decide that you're missing 2 of your starters, now is the time to try to get a big play to the end zone.
Anytime you're down in the red zone like this, I would say you're probably everybody.
There, hands off that. The different running back who gets it at about the 35-yard line. Bazat gets down to the 5-yard line. Andrew Shadle gets in. And again, we talked about Shadle. Shadle is a forward/center for the Knights basketball team, and he's not afraid of contact. He's the leading tackler in the league.
Ball plays at the 5-yard line.
It's one of the stats that I liked coming into this game. Shadle's got 93 total tackles. Solos. The next closest guy in solo tackles is Troy Martin from Port Angeles with 48, which means he's always where the ball's at. So here we go. Back to pass. They'll make an inside hand. Conversation at the 7.
The ball came out there.
This could be a big turnover for Olympic.
And I would have to say that I think that the ball's going to stay with Olympic because it looked like he was down.
Yep. It's going to be 3rd down and goal to go from about the 6-yard line.
Loss of 1 on the yard.
Loss of 1 on the play.
Goal from the 6.
And Willie Cadero will lead that. I'll pick off. Sean Brown. Number 6, Sam Gisecki. Going to bring up a 4th down and goal. Now the question is, do you have enough faith in trying to get kind of weather to try to put 3 yards up on the board, make it a 4-point ball game?
It looks to me like they're going to go for it.
And
if you don't have, you've watched your kicker kick off a couple of times now. The kicks aren't good. They're not going your way.
And here we go. Brown to the 5, into the end zone, touchdown, Sean Brown. And that time Sean Brown did it by catching the ball and made a nice grab about the 3 or 4 yard line. And then through some defenders and see into the end zone. And that's a touchdown for Olympic, and they're up 14-7.
Tale of 2 different types of offenses here, Kevin. You've got the Bremerton Knights who are pounding the ball and running it right down your back. And then you've got the Olympic High School Trojans who are giving it to you on the ground and in the air.
Go for the 2-point conversion. You will want to go your first quarter of play. What looks like it could be a barn burner on offensive touchdowns on the board. It's 14-7. But the weather is a challenge because of your Olympic. I would assume head coach probably would have just preferred to get the field goal there and be up by 8, and then force Bremerton at some point to have to atone for that.
Well, I would say that the weather is definitely going to be a factor here, and more so for Olympic than Bremerton. When you're Olympic and you're trying to run a balanced attack, the weather this rain is going to definitely limit your passing ability. But you know what? You got to hand it to them. So far, they're coming out and they've shown that they're not afraid to throw it deep.
Both these offenses have really shown a tendency to really try to get some yards on the board, and and get some points up. And really, I think at least so far in the game, we've seen the defense has really been hindered by the weather more than the offense. Back to kick it off again. And the kick underway. It's another 35-yard line, and we've been around.
That was, I believe it was number 85, Shaquille Jones on the fumble. Recovered the squib kick. He did it right, did it all right. Unfortunately, didn't keep both hands on the ball when he ran through the pile of people.
And now look at Olympic. Now they're going to hurry this thing up. They're going to get out there quick and try to capitalize. Hand off to Brown. Over the line is number 1, Andrew Shadle. The ball in this is just really hard to do. And, again, you're trying to catch Bremerton off guard, but Shadle steps right in front of that. Again, it looked like he was in a bit of a zone, just able to kind of wait out there and just play center field again and pull that thing in and gets it into Olympic territory at the 45-yard line. One receiver is put to each side of the night side formation. And off Kennedy back in. Trying to bowling people over. That'll be another Bremerton night first down on the ground.
He put the shoulder right into Zeke Gaeta. That poor kid, I'm sure, is still trying to figure out what just hit him.
So here we go with a first down and 10 ball, the 32-yard line. A minute 33 to go here, first quarter of play. We've seen a lot of points put up on the board. Bremerton would like to see
looking to play the run.
They're going to hand it to Kennedy. It's time to go left side. Find a little bit of a spot right inside what the original marker was, so maybe a gain of a half a yard or so on the play.
If you're the Olympic high school defense, that's how you play a running back. That's how you play a running back that'll put a shoulder into you and knock you into next week. You string the play out and you force him out of bounds. If you can't, if it takes 2 or 3 of you to bring him down, you use the sideline. That sideline is your ally when you're on defense.
And it's the first time that they've really made him stretch the play out, more left to right than running forward.
And that comes down to 2 simple factors. If you defensive end, you don't lose the gain, and if you're a linebacker, you sidestep it good.
Side as well. On the tackle. Going to bring up a third down and about 3 as the ball spotted at the 25-yard line, and I think that might be just to give Kennedy a little bit of a rest.
Can't blame them for that. The kid's been running a lot so far today.
And I heard a stat, I'm not sure it's 100% true, but I'm going to relay it anyway, as I got this from Chuck Stark, the editor with the sports department of the Sun. You know who to send your nasty emails to. But the stat that I got was that Kennedy's run for 200 yards in every game this season but one. And Harrison. We didn't have a clean room to go.
The one thing that I will say, the difference between the two defenses so far tonight seems to be first step off the ball. Olympic seems to be a step quicker off the ball. If you watch their defensive line, Kevin, you'll notice that when that ball is snapped, they're getting penetration. And with penetration comes good things. Yeah, Bremerton is shoving it down their throat on run, but the penetration is making the difference.
And it almost seems like, as we had the first quarter of play, and it almost seems like what's worked in Bremerton's advantage has been kind of pushing that ball to the outside a little bit and allowing that penetration that's kind of coming up the middle to pull your defenders away from the lanes of where you're going to try to run the ball through.
Again, it seems, once again, you're talking about quickness on the line. Bremerton's offensive line doesn't seem to be able to match up with speed so far to Olympic High School's speed on the defensive line.
All right, so we're going to try to switch to a one mic setup here as we're getting some issue with lag and it cutting in and out a little bit. We apologize for that. We're learning on the fly here, so Paul and I will still bounce back and forth. We'll just share the same mic.
The ball is going to be placed down.
So the ball's going to be at the 25-yard line.
That ball moves 50 yards. You are correct. If you got it right, let out a loud, proud, go, Ole.
They're going to say that. To the other. They called it a 50-yard play. It's not a play. The refs respotted the ball. I was trying to figure out what would 50 yards and what I suddenly missed. So we'll get the second quarter underway. 14-7 Olympic lead. We've been able to do. Bremerton runs it up the middle and get a big hole and gets a touchdown.
Well, it can absolutely work against you, Kevin. If you've got too much speed and you're not playing your position right, you're not staying at home, you get your penetration, you let the guy run right after you.
This is exactly what happened. So Perigo will come in and attempt the extra point. Tie it up. 14-13 to score. The extra point is good. So, first play of the second quarter. Olympic let get a touchdown. It's a 14-14 ball game. 11:53 to go first half of play.
You know, one thing I'm noticing early on here with 2 touchdowns per team, if I'm Olympic, there's one thing I'm a little bit concerned about, and that's that kicking may become the difference in this ball game in this weather. You got a barn burner. Both teams are scoring a lot of points. They're throwing it down the field well. Olympic is. Bremerton High School is running the ball down the field well. It may come down to extra points. Mark my words.
Well, the other thing is, too, if you're primarily a rushing offense, the longer you can hang out in a game and hang in a game and hang in a game, the better it works to your strengths. And you know, if Olympic was able to build up some kind of a cushion, then it would push Bremerton to have to pass the ball more. But this really fits into the Bremerton kind of agenda of just keeping it close, being able to run the ball consistently, and not having to worry so much about the clock being your enemy just yet.
I couldn't agree more, Kevin, and clearly you won't hear me say that to you that often. But in this particular case, I think you're spot on.
So here we go. We're going to get that kickoff underway here. 11:53 to go here, second quarter of play. 14-14 ball game. It's a tie between Olympic and Bremerton as we're just underway here in the second quarter. Broadcast, Kevin Chambers, Paul Madden joining you. The kick underway. 11-yard line. He slips and stops. That was Quajon Otis. And again, if I mispronounce the name, sorry, Otis Quajon, I believe is what it was. Nope, Quajon Otis, sorry about that. And he just lost his balance again. Field position to start the game so far tonight for Olympic, and they're going to call a timeout. The defense and just doesn't 100% likes what he sees.
Well, when you get the play that comes in from the sidelines, obviously the coach calls a play with an expectation of a certain defense that's going to be run against it. If you're the quarterback, your responsibility is to recognize that defense and recognize the strengths and weaknesses of whatever play you've already called. He may not have had the opportunity to audible. I don't know how their coach runs his offensive scheme, what power he gives the quarterback as far as the audible goes. But in that particular instance, I would say that Willie Cadera looked over the defense and said, I don't want this play going against that defense. It could be bad.
And the fans over here, because we're on the Olympic sidelines, they let out kind of a collective groan. But if you're the quarterback, if you're the head coach, for Olympic, you might be totally okay with that just because it loses. First down and 10, 11:50 to go here, second quarter of play. Brown's going to run it.
Game and about how Olympic had to stretch the play out to the sidelines, and the first steps for the linebackers and their the feet shuffling and moving it side to side had to be right on. That you just saw was perfect side-to-side momentum from a linebacker for Bremerton High School.
So Kyle Kennedy active on both sides of the ball. Tacklers, no gain. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 10. And maybe finally gotten a little afraid to try to pass for much.
Good balls. Close to your end zone. Don't want to take
the intended receiver. And on defense.
Old. Very, very difficult. High degree of difficulty.
May actually be punting out of this situation here. Unfortunately, if you're and that ball is going to bounce, but it'll take a nice little pass and continue to roll all down to the 40-yard line, which is where it'll get down. Not a great punt yardage initially, but the extra yardage on a full bounce for the Knights puts Bremerton at their next possession.
You got to make a statement. You're into the second quarter. Bremerton's been shoving it down your throat. Right now is the time when you have to stand up, fight back, and not let them run right over the top of you.
And if you're Bremerton, you've rebounded pretty well from the interception on the first possession of the game. You've had a pretty good job with the ball. So let's see if they continue to defeat Kyle Kennedy. There's a handoff to the right side. That's not Kennedy. That's Lawrence.
That he's running side to side, and he's setting Olympic up for a screenplay.
And so it'll be 2nd down. They're going to give him a gain of about 3. I thought it was a favorable gain. I thought he might have been down at about the 41-yard line. They're going to mark it out of the 43. We'll get the 2nd down and 7. Score tied at 9:50 here in the half. Left it is up. Chance to pull him down, and he was just barely able to trip him up. Otherwise, Harris was gone.
Well, he's in that safety position for a reason. He's it. He's the last line of defense.
And that's why they call it safety. So here we go to the 1st down and 10 ball, 38-yard line for the Knights. Score tied 14-14. Lawrence in motion, they'll hand the ball on sweep to the right. Lawrence outside. They're going to mark him right. And then I have another 1st down on the sweep with Michael Lawrence.
If you're Coach Tim Albee, you're going to grab those kids on they're playing defensive back for you by the face mask, and you're going to tell them, you guys are getting beat on your blocks by the receivers. That's why we're seeing the long gains by Buccaneers.
And again, what I would have thought would have been an issue for the offensive line and the blockers has instead been kind of an issue on both sides for the defense, and Bremerton now moving the ball inside the 25-yard line. And about 5. Well, 5.5 maybe. Scoreboard operator, clearly an Olympic fan. They've got it at 2nd and 7. Can't blame the home guys. They love their Ds. Here we go. 2nd down and about 5. Here's the handoff to Kennedy. Kennedy with an inside trap, and Kennedy will drive it down, and he'll get down right near the 14-yard line. We'll see where they mark it, whether or not that's a 1st down. And it's, Kennedy's kind of a dynamic rusher, Paul, because on one hand you'll see him run a sweep. He'll stretch it out left to right and try to bring the defenders outside of their comfort zones. And the next side, you'll see him run an inside trap.
Well, I can tell you that's coaching right there. That's and then saw the cutback lane open up for him, and it was right there into the end zone, almost completely untouched.
So now we'll see what happens with the flag as the refs have huddled at about the 10-yard line. Going to be an illegal face mask, personal foul against Olympic. They're going to find that penalty, and they're going to take that touchdown. So Bremerton will now take a 20-14 lead with 7:59 here to go, first half of play. And I would assume they're going to come out and attempt the 1-point conversion here. Perigo comes out. Perigo will attempt to give the Knights a 7-point lead with 7:59 here to go, first half of play. And their first lead of the night. Able to overcome that first interception on their first play, and now they found themselves in the lead for the first time, almost midway through the second quarter of play.
Well, it seemed to be a statement drive for Bremerton. They seem to want to say, we're going to continue to run the ball, we're going to shove it down your throat, and we dare you to stop us. The unfortunate thing for Olympic is they haven't.
And now we'll see what Olympic's answer is. Now, really quick, if I can get our camera guy Spencer to help me out. I want Spencer to pan down to the cheerleaders and cheer staff directly in front of us. And they're all cheering on the fans, and I don't get the cheer staff because they've got to be out there. Zooming on them and all because of our position, but again, it's impressive that they've at least got smiles on their face, because Paul, I don't know if I can be dancing with Paul with a smile on my face.
Are you kidding me dancing? And honestly, I wouldn't want to see you dancing. I guess we're in agreement.
Well, it's a good thing we're in the stands then. All right, so 7:59 here to go. Bremerton with a 7-point lead, 21-14. Kevin Chambers, Paul Madden, and Spencer, the finest camera guy on the West Sound, running our video feed for us tonight.
Now what you're seeing here is the Bremerton High School player is going to have to hold the ball for the kickoff because it kept falling down.
And it does feel like the wind might be kicking up a tiny bit as well. They kick it off for a touchback, although if you saw 2 for Burton and Perigo, who was the kicker, he put his hand on that, and it was an easy kick. It was an easy touchback because, again, the penalty for the face mask on the touchdown.
You got to give him credit for that. I always thought they should change that rule. On a kickoff, if you put the ball through the uprights, it should be like 2 points.
There you go. Well, we'll give you the address for the league commissioners to put that in.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either, but hey, it can't hurt a guy for dreaming.
Just because he got a video game with his last name and he knows everything. There's a flag, and that flag and debate. That was not one of the plays. He tried to jump the snap and
well, sometimes you get ahead. As we've seen earlier in games, Bremerton's defensive line is just a little bit slower off the ball.
Underthrown, and this one is Matt Knoll. We bet his name.
Well, as good as his arm seems to be, it didn't seem to me like he went through his progression. Again, he seemed to rush the throw. He didn't sit back and wait for the play to develop and really look at each one of his receivers. He had his eye on one receiver, rolled out to the right, tried to hit a defense, read it perfectly, and the result, interception.
And now Bremerton takes over at the 46-yard line and a 7-point lead. Newsflash, Olympic Kyle Kennedy is phenomenal, and that play just shows, the ability to maintain the ability just to concentrate on keeping that ball, but still look ahead and find your blocks. Here comes Kennedy.
Line around the field.
And one thing to alarm you, if you're a Knight fan, Kennedy a little slow to get up, and I think the dude's got to get tired, but I
you get knocked down.
Yeah, and then you look at a guy like Kennedy, and Kennedy is not nearly that big. He's 5'11", 15. Let me count this: 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. 4 of the top receivers in the league. So they've really had success in passing the ball this year, but the passing game has not worked out as much as it would have. I think is that 2 or 3 interceptions tonight. Harris.
That pursuit coming to the left side, the direction that you're running as the running back, and you see that open lane back the opposite direction. As the running back, you have more of an ability to plant that foot and cut back against the grain, or the flow, if you will, of the defense.
And then again, because we're in the rain, it's harder for the defenders to match your moves, because it's a little bit slick out there, a little bit harder to turn, and a little bit harder to plant and counter what that running back does. Harris showed he's a really good stand-in when Kennedy needs a rest. So here's a handoff. With an extra point on its way.
Again, you're just a little over halfway through the second quarter, and Bremerton has been on the field pounding the ball so much with the run. You see Olympics defense already with their hands on their hips getting tired.
And that's not a good sign. Wear on them, and the Olympic defense has been on the field a lot, because as soon as Olympics offense had the ball, they had a turnover, and then the defenses are at the game to catch their breath.
Well, and I can't help point out one disturbing fact, and that is that if you're Olympic High School, you've got less than 40 kids suited up playing football. That means you don't even have a backup at each position. Schools of this size should easily have more than enough kids to be 2 and 3 deep at every position on the field. You should be substituting players and rotating them in and out, but Olympic doesn't have the ability to do that. To be honest, it doesn't look like Bremerton has the ability to do that either.
But no, I covered a game last year for the KidsStepSon.com, which was Bainbridge against the Lakes. 28 kids suited up for a game, and you think, well, that's not a big deal. You've got enough to field all your positions. But it was even in a worse driving rain event than this was. And when you're playing in this kind of weather, it takes a lot out of you. You want to be able to rest your kids and put other kids in there that know what they're doing. And when you're understaffed and undermanned, not only does that lead to kids getting tired and not being able to play as well, but it leads to so we'll have to hope that doesn't transpire and looking at the